Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that's a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing why I regret not waiting until marriage to have sex. If you're the kind of person who likes to read blogs, articles, then I'll have the blog post linked below as well. But I thought that I would just do a video because I have a YouTube channel. I like doing videos. As a high school student, let's say junior, senior year, it was always my dream or a hope of mine that I would wait until I was married to have sex. I was definitely strong in my faith then. I would read my Bible. I would be inspired. I would watch TBN, shows like Jesse Duplantis and all that stuff. But I did think it was special. I didn't really know too much about biblical marriage, but I just knew that, like, in my heart and my soul, I knew it was right to wait till I was married. I've only had one serious relationship, so I'm basing this experience off of my story with that relationship. In Galatians 6:7, and it says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth unto his own flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth unto the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap eternal life." I personally believe that these consequences are spiritual consequences. Like it said, those who sow to the flesh reap corruption, and I feel like this is how the corruption manifested itself. In high school, like, I was just like, wow, like, just the possibilities, like, wide open. Like, I could do anything. Like, my faith could take me anywhere. God could take me anywhere. I was just like a dreamer like that. Like, that's the faith that I wanted. After a while, I wasn't that dreamer anymore. I didn't have that faith. I began to think on like a real world level, where there was like a lot of limits and very little expectation. I was basically deceiving myself by, like, subscribing to the world's, oh, we can do it this way, we're still committed to each other, it's not marriage but it's marriage like. But the truth is, obviously, that there is no good sin or bad sin. You have those friends and they're like, well, at least you're not like this person, or at least you're not that. There is no good or bad sin. It doesn't matter if you have one partner or you just going out every single day meeting somebody new and fornicating. Fornication is fornication. Sex outside of marriage is sex outside of marriage. It's funny because people are like, well, these commitments are like marriage, right? But looking back on a lot of the relationships that I was seeing, or real world or on TV otherwise, most of those relationships didn't work out. I don't think that I recall any relationship that has worked out, actually. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. A lot of people just kind of settle for certain things in relationships, you know what I mean? So I always keep that in mind too when you're trying to, like, justify something that you're doing based off somebody else, or what it looks like for other people. It's not good to do that, especially when you have that value. You can't really settle because you're seeing other people do certain things. And I'm sharing these consequences because the Holy Spirit gave me a crash course and why a lot of these relationships didn't work. I felt like he was giving me a crash course. I feel like women want to be married, honestly. You can see it in memes, you can see it in everyday life, like hearing, like, guys complain, or or even girls complain or vent to their friends. They're like, okay, I've had sex with you, this changes things, you know what I mean? And girls start having expectations and stuff like that. I really feel like for most women, they want to be married. They want that legitimacy of a marriage commitment to the guy that they're sexually involved with. Why do so many women need a declaration, of status from their relationships and have such high expectations from their sexual partners. That's just, I just think that the truth is in that itself. Some women are like secretly hoping that marriage will eventually happen in the relationships that they're settling for, but obviously the problem with that is that there's no guarantee that the guy will like wake up and realize that, you know, the girl that he's with is worthy. I feel like no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how giving you are, if a guy is not ready or is not on the same page, you know, or even have that value, then it's just not gonna happen that way, or in the way that you might hope. If you don't make marriage a standard, then obviously the guy's gonna be comfortable. And if you like, you know, you have that kind of relationship several months or years later, and then you try to make a standard all of a sudden, he might resent that. And it's similar to why buy the cow when the milk is free argument. I don't like that that saying, but it's an unrealistic thing to have a goal of marriage and then settle for a relationship where marriage is not a tangible goal for both of you. It's like if it's your goal to like graduate from college and you don't study and you don't do anything, you're not going to reach that goal. Like there are steps that you have to take that into account with relationships. And it's hard because it takes a lot of faith to just be like, wow, well, I really like him, but I need to let that go because that's not going to go anywhere. But I feel like deep down a lot of times we already feel that and we already know that. Discernment is also like really important because God was trying to wake me up. He was trying to show me like, oh, this is a red flag. And I was just like, just talking my way out of it, and then like, you know, questioning whether it was really like God speaking to me, but I knew it was. I was really comfortable with the situation like it was. And it's funny when you look back, always right. He's always right. That still small voice is always right. We have to trust him with kind of leading us to our spouse, or like kind of like to who will be our spouse, or like who we're dating, to just listen and being like, hey, you know, is this right? Like, am I seeing any red flags? Because I was scared to death to pray about it, to be like, well, is this really what you want for me? Like, is this really it for me? That's not something that I wanted to do, because I was like, I want to make this work, you know what I mean? It's a deception the way that like romance is like portrayed in like media, and even like people like on social media when they're like idolizing the person that they're with. He's always going to be perfect. He's always going to make the right decision. You have to understand that that's a person. That person is not going to complete you. You are already a complete person. He breathed life into you. We base so much on like insubstantial things, and like, I really like this about him, and then you just, if he's this way right here, then that means he's going to be this or he's going to be that, and you just, those are assumptions. Like, it's important to observe and I guess have that discernment about, you know, what God's telling you, because we can't ever judge anybody's hearts. So, you know, that you're not supposed to anyway, good or bad. So you just have to kind of trust what you're seeing and how you observe the person. And you're not going to know after a few months. I mean, you might, I guess, depending on the situation. Like, you just gotta trust God. For me, the assumptions that I was making, nothing. Like, when I tell you, like, it was like a harsh reality to some of the things that unfolded later on. Even if you don't get pregnant, which I'm gonna kind of go deeper into that just because that's my story, there's still heartbreak that can happen, obviously, with these kinds of relationships. Like, I believe that a lot of these like casual sexual relationships, they bring like deep unresolved issues that a lot of people carry from relationship to relationship. I don't believe it's just a problem with women. I feel like the failure of the relationship affects men strongly too. I mean, seriously, all you have to do is log on to social media or hear people talking every day and like see how jaded people are when it comes to relationship and love and all that stuff. Even when people are in relationships, which is really interesting, you can still see them post like salty stuff. Now I'm going to get into the unplanned pregnancy, because that is, like I said, my story. I want to, I guess, start by saying that I believe that every baby is a miracle, no matter what circumstances the birth is, like, or behind the birth. Even in the Bible, Psalm 127:3, lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So that's just my take on it. And I was actually really happy that God entrusted me with the gift of a child.
Hi, you. You get this me.
He's transforming. As far as the unplanned pregnancy goes, I was not prepared for like a lot of the struggles that I faced sharing the responsibility of parenthood with my son's father. I feel like, I don't want to be like stereotypical, but I feel like I fell into the role, like my whole life changed. For me, it was just like that. When I saw the ultrasound picture, and it looked like a little bean, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And they were like, this is how far along you are. I mean, I was shocked. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. But I was kind of like in awe. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh, this is my baby. Another thing that, like, a biblical story that popped into my mind was Leah, and how God had blessed her with a baby, because she was the unwanted sister, and all that stuff. That's just, I know she was married, obviously, and I wasn't, but that's just what I thought of when I got pregnant, because I was like, wow, because I felt lonely and felt like kind of like persecuted, like an outcast or something like that. That's why the gift of a child was even more so like a special thing for me personally. One of the things that surprised me was like the shame or the unexpected awkwardness that presented itself when me and his father like were out, or we had to go to appointments and stuff like that, and it was just like I didn't know how to, sometimes I didn't know how to introduce him. I was not going to say he's my baby daddy, for sure. I was not going to say that. It's common in our culture, I'm just speaking like as a black woman. I mean, that's not new. You see single moms, it's like a highly respected thing. Very, very common. I was surprised that I felt like when I was with his dad, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is my son's father and all that kind of stuff, and then people would automatically be like, oh, okay, well, your husband this. You don't have the opportunity every time to like correct someone, and you're just like going through what I've been through, like the heartbreak, the loneliness, the issues that might arise, and like I look at it completely differently now than I did before. When people were like coming up to you and they would just like be like, oh, are you married? Like, and you just like probably because they didn't see a ring or anything, and then you just don't even. I know some people like, that's not their business and all that stuff like that. It's just, but even if I did feel comfortable sharing it with someone, it's like I wouldn't know, because there was like so many underlying issues that like were happening. And another thing that I wasn't prepared for is the family interference. When you have like a supportive family, that is a blessing. Sometimes there are family members that are really like, they're just very like unsupportive, critical, biased for whatever reason, or just don't like your parenting style. Some of the things, it was like, it wasn't even like a right or wrong thing, you know what I mean? It was like, if your child is like healthy and thriving, and just every time you go to the doctor they're like A++, you would not expect the negativity that some people can express to or display towards you. It's also like a very unfortunate thing, because it can cause like stress, like can weigh you down like emotionally, as well as like cause division like between the parents, and feeling like they have to be super sensitive to like other people, even if they're not right. Like it can cause so many problems. It's not a good thing. I feel like after experiencing that, I really believed why in the Bible it says in Genesis 2:24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. But if you're not a wife, his blood family might be, it might be like kind of hard for him to put that boundary if he's, even willing to. Not to say that your family shouldn't be involved, but just to know like if problems kind of arise, just kind of like what boundaries and like, being respectful and everything. And then there's like, the marriage, staying together out of duty, after you, have a child together. I've never been married, so I can only speculate and discuss what I've observed from those situations, but I can't speak on like a similar situation of like staying together, after you have a kid. And that could be out of duty or wanting to make it work. Like some of these issues might just be relevant to all of these situations. The discussion of marriage, it comes up again, like, when you're dating, I'm sure. I don't know how like serious like that is. I feel like when people are together, marriage comes up. For me, marriage did come up again. I'm not gonna go in too deep into it, but let's just say that there may be a sense of doubt or insecurity about like the main reason behind, the topic of marriage, re-arising after the baby. Like questions like, was it out of duty? Was this person someone you valued or treasured enough to marry in the first place? Like regardless of, the baby. Why was there hesitation or delay to get married before the baby's conception or birth? Those kind of things kind of can like cause some doubt or like insecurity in the relationship. Another issue that is like relevant here is like resentment. Parenthood and marriage might be something that, like I said before, it was discussed over the course of the relationship. I'm not gonna like say that people are lying. It could be something that they're not ready for, like when it comes, or things change. And if that's like the main factor is obligation, then obviously there's going to be signs of resentment. This could be like reverting to like childish behaviors, complaining about the lack of, time for themselves, like, actions and statements that just reveal that the person feels trapped or may subconsciously long for freedom. Like that's like not a good thing either emotionally. So if there is resentment and, kind of like a pulling away emotionally, then that can obviously lead to loneliness. If you know deep down that it's feeling like an obligatory, is that a word? Obligatory situation, then, the true desire to make decisions and for the benefit of the family and truly, loving and appreciating each other and working together and all that stuff, that's going to be lacking. I'm not saying that trying to do the right thing is wrong. I'm just saying that these are like real issues that may present themselves because it wasn't something that someone like had a tangible plan for. So there could be hesitation. Not to say that it won't eventually work out, but there are problems that you got to work through. Even so, like one person may be like giving their all, putting everything into it, and then the other person's kind of like dragging their feet, and this might cause tension. And then one person feeling like they have to be like on it, like, well, come on, like let's this, and then nagging and all that stuff, which can just lead to even more hurt, bitterness, all that kind of stuff. You can't like change someone, you can't break bad habits, you can't make someone like want to be there. And another thing to like even think about is like finances. And if you are like living together, like sharing the responsibilities, sharing rent, like childcare and stuff, you'd be accumulating things together, making big purchases together, like for like a property or like renting a place, like having both your names on the lease and all that kind of stuff. And if things really aren't working out and you just know like it's just a very like unhealthy like environment and everything, after all of that, is it going to be that much harder for one person to leave the situation if need be? Those are all things to consider, especially like, the stress of it. It's not an easy thing. With like, a lot of these scenarios, you can just go, it could just be deeper and deeper into a hole that, you're digging for yourself, and it's just like, wow, like, I never considered this, or I never thought that this would be my situation. I know that not every marriage is guaranteed to work, even with the strongest foundation, and with having even waited to have sex, or taking the time to plan, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I know that obviously not every marriage works, and whether we want to admit it or not, sex definitely clouds our judgment. Especially like as a woman, you really do get attached. Like, I know for me, I was like, oh, this is the one, and like, I did not care. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna make it work. I used to have friends that were guys, and they'd be like, yeah, be careful taking a girl's virginity, because then she's gonna be clingy and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, I think a lot of women are like that regardless. I don't know, I feel like they would be like that with all of their sexual partners. I mean, I don't see why not. It's like the older I get, and the more and more I see, like, with life around me, I just really believe that a sin is a sin because it's harmful to us. I really feel like when God says do not commit these sins, is because he's saying these circumstances are gonna cause some serious, like, spiritual and emotional harm to you. There's gonna cause problems that you are not able to really foresee. After, like, going through some of these issues myself, John 8:32, I just looked at it differently, and there it says, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Like, it just feels like sometimes people don't have hope and don't have faith because they're, like, trapped in situations that they don't even understand is because of, like, some of the choices that they made. Like some of the sins that people commit, like, can, like, trap you in a situation that you just that you just couldn't know before. That's why it's another verse that I like that says, lean not on your own understanding. And I remember somebody was so offended when, like, I was talking to them. They were like, I don't like that it says that. But to me, it makes perfect sense, because he's like, well, how does God make us and we can't use our own judgment? And I don't think that is that we can't use our own judgment. I think that we are not supposed to just be like, oh, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to do this anyway because I don't understand. And going back to John 8:32, like, you shall know the truth shall make you free. Like I said, I believe sin enslaves us to, like, bad habits, cycles, and circumstances that keep us from, like, living a more healthy, like, and free life. The life that I believe God intended for us to live. There was, like, a time where I felt like I wasn't hearing from God, but I feel like he was just like, okay, well, did my spirit not try to tell you? It's kind of like when you have a friend that you really love and you really care about, or a sibling or anybody that you really care about, and you give them advice and you can see it so clearly because you're on the outside, and they're like, that's a red flag, please don't do this, please don't do that, and they go and do it anyway, and then you're just like, and all the destruction, you just, like, after a while, you're like, you're trying to tell them, and you're like, look, but this just happened, but that just happened, like, do you not see? And then you just kind of, after a while, just be like, well, I guess I just gotta let them learn, like, the hard way. That's exactly what Luke 6:46-49 means to me, because it says, and why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and dig deep and lay the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation build an house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently. I hope I'm saying that right. And immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Yep, that's when I read that, I was like, yep. It's not a healthy kind of relationship when it's not really two people who are truly committed in marriage. And regardless of what people say about papers, I feel like that argument is so stupid, because papers it's like a notice, right? You're like, this is my husband or this is my wife. They have this right, they have that right. Papers do matter. Trust me. If you find yourself in a situation where you have an unplanned pregnancy or anything like that, like, you will see how much papers matter. Or like if it's like an adulterous relationship that someone enters into, and the person, like, sometimes like the other woman or the other man feel like they have a certain right to the person. If anything happens to that person, the husband or the wife is going to speak on their behalf. Don't be deceived by that. So I hope this video wasn't too, like, discouraging. I was just giving my 2 cents, because there was no one to tell me, like, look, you have to consider this or consider that, because all I was seeing was everyone happy and doing this and doing that. I feel like society considers, like, sex before marriage, like living together before marriage, all that kind of stuff, they consider it like an acceptable sin. Even Christians do it. Even, it's just like everybody does it. So, and just looking at, like, our system, it's like, obviously that's not working. And people are like, oh, well, it's just living together. No, it's more than just living together. It's also sex before marriage. It just brings so many problems. If you are a Christian who is spirit-led and your goal is to have a deeper relationship with God, you need to be with someone who is a spirit-led Christian who wants to be in a deeper relationship with God, because if you're not, you may not ever reach that goal of that deeper relationship with God, because, a lot of the issues and the problems that you're going to have with someone not sharing your values and not going down that path with you, it's going to hinder that. Not everybody who is living together, married, and all this stuff, like, after they, like, began, like, a sexual relationship, are truly happy. Don't look at other people and just be deceived by what you are seeing, because I feel like people these days especially, they don't really talk about their problems or issues, because everyone wants to be like, oh, I'm fine. It can be a lot that you're hiding and you're carrying on yourself, and I probably wouldn't even made this video if I didn't feel led to do it, honestly, because it's a really vulnerable thing. I don't want to leave on like, I got not even a negative note, because, like, I feel like sometimes the truth kind of, like, hurts. I know for me, like, sometimes in church I'm like, like, there could be times where I'm just like, wow, like, I need to check my heart for real. Through all this, I was like angry with myself, if I'm to be honest. Like, I was just like, why did I think that I knew better? You know what I mean? But I feel like sometimes we do, deceive ourselves, and we go down a path that we probably wouldn't have thought, especially, like, as Christians. Sometimes we just, like, you give into the temptation sometimes to be like everybody else, or something just looks enticing and you're like, I don't see a problem with it. If you can relate to that, I just want to leave on just sharing that, the Holy Spirit, like, whenever I was just really, like, down and out, like, sometimes, like, I feel like I was going to have, like, panic attacks, like, that's how anxious I was, or, like, really finding it hard to breathe because I was, like, so, like, sad and, like, heartbroken. He really did comfort me, and he actually, like, began to, like, show me, like, what he meant. He was like, this is what I meant. This is why this doesn't work. This was my plan. Like, he has a good plan for us. I don't even know what verse that is, but I had to like read that one a few times sometimes, because I was just like, how am I going to be able to turn things around? You know what I mean? I can't do it by myself. I can't change people. I can't change the circumstances. You can't ever change anything like that. You can only work on yourself. Also, I really like 2 Chronicles 7, where it says, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. And this one was actually a verse that was preached by a pastor that at a church that I go to, and he said that healing your land can be your family, it could be your finances, it could be like whatever problems that are, a result of whatever mess that you made of yourself or your life. Sins create a lot of problems, and a lot of it is stemmed out of selfishness, and it's not love, and God is love. I hope this video helped. Like I said, I never thought that I would have posted a video like this, but I feel like it's like a reality that I faced. I really didn't know what to do with all this stuff that I was learning, like when God was leading me to certain things, or like putting stuff in my spirit, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I get it, I see it. And sometimes I'll just be like, Lord, God still was patient with me and wanted to pull me out of it, and to I guess to trust him. I feel like God has really been working on me. So if you've made mistakes and you're feeling it right now, or you're just like, oh my gosh, just know that all things are possible with God, and he can meet you where you are. You just have to have a truly like open heart, I guess. Like, you have to be open to really praying, and like you have to be real, you know what I mean? Genuinely reaching out, to seek his face. If you've had any like experiences like this, if you're a single mom, or or if not, like if you've just had heartbreaks and things that have happened, leave your stories below. We shouldn't be the kind of friends that I see that will just be like, yeah, that's okay, or they'll be like, oh well, they're my friends, so I'm going to support whatever they do. I feel like we have to be like, hey, no, like I don't see that going well, because I feel like you deserve more, or I feel like you should wait, you're worth waiting for, you know what I mean? Like, just, we should be more encouraging like that to each other. If you have questions, leave it below. I won't get into too much detail if it's like a personal question, but yep, that's it for this video, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!